Good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast. For the next 2 hours, we will bring you the latest pro wrestling news, in-depth analysis of all your favorite promotions from across the globe, and much, much more. We will also bring you exclusive interviews with the greatest professional wrestling personalities on the local, national, and international levels. If you want to follow the Wrestle Talk Podcast, check us out online at www.wrestletalkpodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And now, it's time for the reigning, defending, undisputed leader in pro wrestling podcast, the Wrestle Talk Podcast.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wrestle Talk Podcast, episode 394, Pinkies Up, right here on Tuesday night, right here on the Wrestle Talk Podcast, WrestleTalkPodcast.com, and all forms of social media, as well as our YouTube channel. I am Luke Roberts, Media Relations Director with Dynamo Pro Wrestling and the host of tonight's Wrestle Talk Podcast. Sitting alongside me right now is a face you're very familiar with, the one, the only Hardcore Hoss. Hoss, how are you doing this great Tuesday night?
Oh, doing absolutely wonderful, looking forward to another great show tonight, and just couldn't be happier to be here.
Well, I can tell you right now, Hoss, and I look at your background, I see that Lumberjacks for Life t-shirt. We were talking about that the last time we were here on the program, had an opportunity to attend this year's Hall of Fame induction ceremony, again, the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. Had a lot of great inductees, the Lumberjacks being one of them, and we want to give a special shout out to them for, again, providing a great ceremony to honor some of the classic wrestlers of years gone by. Sonny Money checking in already tonight, making sure things are taken care of. We got a lot of great things going on here tonight. At 7:30, we're going to have Dynamo Pro Wrestling D1 champion CJ Shine and an interview for the old school wrestling fan. At 8:15, we're going to have Jason Brasier. For those that don't know who he is, he had an opportunity to be the director for a documentary called The Flying Greek, talking about the life of professional wrestler Mike Pappas. And if you're not familiar with the name, you need to make sure you stay tuned here at 8:15 because Jason Brasier is going to be here on the program. Nice to see we got some Blues fans representing. You know what? I can tell you, Hoss, we got to bring him in. One of the biggest Blues fans I know, and I know a lot of people. Let's go ahead real quick here and bring in our broadcast colleague, my longtime personal friend, Chris Rodell. Chris, how are you doing here tonight on Tuesday night?
Oh, man, I am doing fantastic. I mean, we got a Blues playoff game tonight. My Blues jersey is in storage right now. I couldn't dig it out in time for tonight's show, so if I would have been more prepared, I probably would have. But I was doing some research on our two great guests we have tonight because at 7:30 we've got the brand new Dynamo Pro D1 champion. He's gonna be in the house. CJ Shine.
That is true, Chris. Like I said, CJ Shine had a great showing this weekend. Again, the brand new Dynamo Pro D1 champion. And at 8:15, we're going to have Jason Brasier on the line as well. Have you any compliments here, Chris? I love this. I'm getting compliments for representing the Blues. And the biggest Blues fan I know has nothing.
I know. I'm sorry, I didn't have time.
Chris, actually, you do. I was sitting back there looking there.
I do.
Lakeville Estate. Right behind you, right over your shoulder.
That is an etch, the pencil sketch that my brother's friend and my brother gave it to me for Christmas a couple of years ago, right after the Blues won the Stanley Cup. My brother's friend does some pencil etching art, and it's an awesome piece. So,
and like I said, it represents the Blues are tied 2-2 going into Game 5 tonight.
Yes. Have you recovered from Saturday night down at Cinco de Mayo? I mean, how great was it to be back at the Cinco de Mayo festival?
I can tell you right now, it was a great time at the Cinco de Mayo Festival, seeing all the great wrestling fans, all the great fans of Cinco de Mayo. It was great to be out and enjoying people. And you know what, Chris? We've got some business to take care of, but I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to actually showcase in just a little bit one of our broadcast colleagues here. I don't want to talk too much about it right now, but I want to hold on to it. But you know what we got to do, gentlemen? We got a lot of business to take care of. We've got a lot of things going on in the world of pro wrestling. So
are they going to finally release the Joe Lance getting tased?
No, it's not that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we get tonight's show started, we want to go ahead and pay homage. And no, I'm not going to go that far. You know why? Because, Hoss, you have this down to a science. When Joe Lance took his time to be away from the Wrestle Talk podcast, and again, big shout out to Joe Lance, who I know is watching the program tonight. Hardcore Hoss, you've kind of taken the tradition. You do this introduction so well. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to you for the introduction. As Chris is all ready to go, I'm all ready to go. I'm going to throw it to you because you're the guy who does this oh so well each and every week.
All right, it is that time again, ladies and gentlemen. If you remove your hats and place your hands over your heart, it is time to pay homage to the best damn country around, and that is America, damn it.
You know, guys, I got to tell you, each and every week we have to start off the Wrestle Talk podcast paying respect to the greatest country on the planet. And again, gentlemen, it's a great way to start the show each and every week. And I know we got a lot of great things to do, but Hardcore Hoss, let's go ahead and take care of those great sponsors who are supporting the Wrestle Talk podcast each and every week. We're going to go ahead and throw them up here on the screen. If you're watching us live, we want to give a special shout out to all of you watching on social media here tonight. We have a lot of great sponsors as well as all of our great viewers that make the Wrestle Talk podcast go each and every week. We've got the fine folks over at Everything Combat, Kincaid Arcade, big things coming this year for them. Esports Bar Kansas City, Interstate 70 Sports Media, along with our broadcast colleague Jeremy Karp, Royal Mills Transportation, Painter Stream Productions, the one behind the great Wrestle Talk podcast website, Rathbun Engraving, Me Fiesta KC Party Rentals, Noblemen Barber Lounge, Kansas City, Ask for Pete the Barber, and, of course, the world's greatest professional wrestling fantasy group, the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide chapter, the FWWC. Now, I got to ask you, gentlemen, and we talked about this in the pre-show meeting earlier this evening.
Time out. Hold on,
Chris.
Hold on. I need to address the Sonny Money Mayo comment here. The Flyer, this Philly Flyers comment. I just watched your boys in the draft lottery, so don't be stepping if you don't make the playoffs. So let's just put that down right now. The Flyers didn't even make the playoffs, and they were just in the draft lottery. So they're going to be drafted, I believe, in the top 10. So that tells you how their season went. So go ahead.
Chris, why are we throwing so much shade on our broadcast colleagues?
I love Sonny, but that comment, no, that comment gets that. Nope, wrong time, wrong place.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, you know about this time every week we go ahead and we bring forth what's called the high spot segment. But tonight, at episode 394, we have some very special breaking news. Hoss, can you hit the sounder for me, please? Can you hit that breaking news here? Let's go ahead and hit that real quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we go ahead and we have breaking news, and we have to send a special shout out to several people who have shared this with us. As many of you know, there is a very outspoken member of the Wrestle Talk podcast team, that being Richard Douglas, the man known as the proprietor of City on the Hill. And thank you, Jeffrey Wilson, for giving us a shout out here this evening. But I got to tell you right now, there were people from all across this country wanting to see it. And we have right here. And Hardcore Hoss, if you could go ahead and hit it, I'm going to go ahead and kind of explain what we're seeing here. Ladies and gentlemen, as you're seeing here on your screen, the gentleman that you see presently in the ring is Mr. All That Matters ATM. And go ahead and hit it, Hoss. We see right here, as he's going ahead and getting the video taken care of here. Hopefully we're getting the video taken care of here. We worked real hard to get this clip, and he's not going to let us He's not going to let us know what's up here. All right, as you see here, he's going to be coming into the screen in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing live in-ring footage of the Wrestle Talk Podcast own Richard Douglas competing. You heard me right. Competing inside the squared circle this past Saturday. Chris, I know you were at ringside for this. I got to ask you.
Can we fast forward to the end of the match?
No, we were very nicely instructed by those that are responsible for Richard Douglas's media department that we need to make sure that we are being respectful of our co-host. And right now, as you see here, he's actually showing he's got a little bit of wrestling skill here. And I got to tell you right now, as we well know, I see a nice roll up there by Richard Douglas. Now, Haas, you can go ahead and take us away from this. As you see here, there is proof that Richard Douglas not only talks the talk inside the squared circle, but he also walks the walk.
I wasn't quite sure he was going to make it out of the Cherokee Street Cinco de Mayo festival the way he was talking. So, I mean,
well, the good news is, Chris, we don't have footage of that. I mean, again, I know that we have some so we were parameters, but
we were sent doctored clips is what we were sent. So only tips to make only clips to make Dick Douglas look good. So,
well, like I said, I mean, it was one of those showing him that he was very capable inside the squared circle. Didn't necessarily get the W, but it was one of those where he did get in the ring, he backed up his words, and he did compete this past weekend. Now that we've taken care of that and we've shown the Wrestle Talk Podcast family that, yes, Mr. Douglas can get in the ring, we're going to get in the ring right here. And Hardcore Hoss, I know you got that music ready. We got a lot of great things to talk about on the High Spot segment. So Hardcore Hoss, you can hit that DJ money. It's time for High Spots.
Mic check, mic check. Yeah. All right. Wrestle Talk Podcast. DJ Money. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to High Spots, where we pop news like lamb chops. We dog shop, coming through the screen with a laptop and non-stop like I'm running streets with a blacktop. We hit hard like chair shots and backdrops. On the clock flash, feel like a barely block that ass on. We got the scenes while they stay slow. Wrestle Talk Podcast, now they know we about to start the show.
To answer Zach's question, the Snitch won the Cinco de Mayo Battle Royal. Yes, the Snitch won the Cinco de Mayo Battle Royal. Joe is happy in West Virginia, and Dick Douglas is probably happy because I think that might be Snitch's only two fans. So,
and you know, Chris, I'm gonna tell you right now, I've heard rumors there's another member of this Wrestle Talk Podcast team that was also very happy that the Snitch won this past Saturday. And I'm not going to mention any names, but we're going to have to find out if he truly is a member of the Snitches fan club or not. But like I said, thank you to DJ Money for providing that great intro for High Spots. I got to tell you right now, if the Blues had intros like that, right now they'd already be in the Stanley Cup Finals. That's how good DJ Money is. And you know what, Chris? They're done listening to us. Let's go ahead and jump right into the first High Spots topic. Hardcore Hoss, if you would be so kind,
throw up a random one.
We
don't care. We'll take any of them.
All right, let's see what question number one is. And again, we want to say thank you to our fans as well for bringing up some of these great questions as well. Hardcore Hoss getting ready, choosing what's there.
Okay.
I know I put them in here. Hold on.
And now we're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty as it relates to the question generator here.
Love you too, Renee. Love you too. Night all.
Well, like I said, right now as we're sitting here and we're seeing what's going on here, I think right now we're going to go ahead. We got
there we go.
Right now, Chris.
Yeah, we're going to hit up AEW first. How excited are you to see Adam Page defend his AEW World Title against CM Punk? I'm at probably about a 7 because I like Adam Page and I like what CM Punk has done, but it seems like they're trying to go Adam Page as the heel in this one, and I'm not quite sure Adam Page can be the heel in this one, you know? I mean, I'll watch it. I just don't know if I'm excited about it. Luke?
I got to tell you right now, and this has become my reoccurring trend here, 10! 10!
Okay,
CM Punk.
Okay, Ty
Yes,
Dillon.
please. Adam Page has been the AEW champion now for quite a while. But this is going to be his strongest test today. A lot of people made jokes about Adam Page versus Adam Cole. But this is the matchup of today versus, and I don't want to say it this way, but it's about the only way to summarize it, 2022 versus 2015. I think CM Punk has been doing awesome inside the squared circle in AEW. And this is going to show, and this is going to sound strange, but to me, this match shows if CM Punk still belongs in professional wrestling.
Haas, what do you think?
I would have to go with you, and I'm about maybe a 7 on it. You know, I think it's going to be a decent match, but it could be better.
And maybe if they move the building up of it to another level. But right now it's just kind of like it's just two guys thrown together. They kind of built up the whole Adam Page, Adam Cole thing. I think they kind of dropped the ball with maybe letting the Bucks team with Adam Page to kind of reform that elite that was there. But Young Bucks are now apparently with Cole and O'Reilly and Fish forming the super elite. So where does that leave Kenny Omega when he comes back? So, I mean.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to throw this question out here. Since you guys are sitting there at about a 6 or a 7, you're kind of lukewarm in this matchup, no pun intended. Here's my question. Who makes it a 10 for you?
What do you mean by that?
Who makes this matchup with Adam Page a 10?
I honestly right now I don't know of anybody that in the AEW roster that could make it. I mean, Punk is good. Cole was good. I thought the match is going to be great because CM Punk can prove he's had great matches. He brought the best out of Dustin Rhodes. He had a killer match with one of the FTR guys, so he's going to have a good match no matter what. So I just don't know how excited I am about them already going together. I mean,
okay, Haas, I'm going to throw this out here, and I gotta take a second here. Jeffrey Wilson throwing out there, the Bucks are the 2022 version of the Mulkey brothers.
The Mulkeys.
Wow.
It's 2022 and we have a Mulkeys reference.
There you go, right there. Hardcore Haas, I got to throw it to you. Since Chris couldn't come through, is there anybody right now on the AEW roster that makes it a 10 out of 10 for you with Adam Page?
You know, it doesn't seem to be often that I do this, but I actually have to agree with Chris.
Smart man.
Guys, I feel as though that there's a lot of things here, but I'm going to tell you, I think this match is going to surprise a lot of people, and both of them.
And maybe it's just because the whole Adam Page title reign has kind of been very underwhelming. You know, after going from Kenny Omega, I don't know. It's just been underwhelming for me. So
well, I can tell you right now, two men that are going to be totally surprised after Adam Page versus CM Punk are Chris Rodell and Hardcore Haas. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump on my soapbox here a minute. I think this match is going to surprise a lot of people. And as we've been watching the message and continue sending those messages in, we've been seeing people say this is going to be a 5, this is going to be a 4. Sonny Money mentioning the idea, and I think we can go back here to a couple messages.
I like Jeff's question. About Cody. If you could go ahead and throw that up there, that's a good high spot. That. Will Cody eventually win the WWE Universal Strap? Is he going to be the one that takes Roman's reign? No pun intended. And honestly, right now, of all the people in the WWE, he's about the only one that could. I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, I know Cody Rhodes came into, where people are going to remember him from his Stardust phase and his I can't even when he had the mask on. I can't even remember what his nickname was then. So
Dashing Cody Rhodes.
Yes. But right now Cody's the only one that I could see unseating Roman Reigns.
I'm going to tell you right now, do I see Cody Rhodes eventually winning the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship? Yes. Do I see him being the one defeating Roman Reigns? No.
Then who do you see beating Roman Reigns?
To be honest with you, and this is going to be a stretch, Dwayne.
So you think The Rock is going to come back at WrestleMania next year and take... So Roman's going to hold this belt the entire time?
I could see it. I think Sonny Money, my broadcast colleague in 2 weeks, he agrees with me. I think it's going to be that.
This is going to kind of lead into one of my high spots segment about Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns this past weekend in Trenton, New Jersey, said that, hey, he might not be coming back here anymore. So he wanted to thank the fans. It's Trenton. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal if he never goes to Trenton again. But what is he alluded to his next phase of his career. There are no rumors going around that he hasn't re-signed. There's no rumors that he's taking any time off. So what is he alluding to?
Actually, Chris, I have heard rumors that he has signed a new contract with WWE. In this new contract, he gets to appear less than he already is. He has actually been removed from all advertising getting ready to go out for the month of July and August, I believe. And there are no plans to have him in the pay-per-views for July and August. So it looks like he's taking 2 months off from the rumors that I have heard.
I have heard that he did sign a new deal with less dates, but I did not realize he was being removed from signage. So,
well, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and kind of skip things here for just a minute here. And we look right here. And thank you for bringing that up, Hoss. I think great minds thinking alike tonight. As you see here on the screen, we have an NWO lunchbox to give away. In order to be able to qualify to potentially win that lunchbox, you have to make sure you share the broadcast and have tonight's comment of the night. And I'm going to tell you right now, the one to me earlier on talking about somebody being more excited about Hookhausen, I gotta say, that is definitely one that's one of those that I definitely would enjoy. Speaking of which, I want to switch gears here for a minute. I want to stay with Roman Reigns. I want to stay with the Usos. I read something online, and I've seen it on a couple different media outlets. It was made by one Paul Heyman, the special counsel. As we see here, Sonny Money talking about how Hollywood may be calling. He has beaten leukemia. Time to slow it down a little bit.
Before we go on to your bloodline thing here, Joe made a good point. If you listen to the promo video of Money in the Bank, Cody said that the winner of Money in the Bank will go on to main event WrestleMania. So is this year's Money in the Bank going to be for next year's WrestleMania? And are you rendering the Royal Rumble obsolete? I mean,
no. I think it's one of those where somebody's going to wind up winning. I think it's all a smokescreen, because when it comes down to it, stepping into the main event match, that's already been done. Seth Rollins had, as many people said, the heist of the century. To me, I think that's, to quote a Cody Rhodes entrance music, it's all smoke and mirrors. I really think that's what it is.
Okay. I mean, okay, that's fine. So, all right, I'm sorry. I just saw that comment from Joe, and I thought it was kind of interesting because we were talking about Mania. So, go on with Paul Heyman saying, I believe he said that I don't want to get
the comment that was made, and Hoss, if you could bring it up here, saying, no, it's not Roman Reigns alluding to a new phase in his career, but it does tie into everything here. Let's go ahead and throw the other question up here. Staying with the bloodline, staying with the Usos and Roman Reigns. We're going to go ahead here. Again, this is going to be if our technology goes, because you have to read the quote. It was saying here, made by Paul Heyman, that the bloodline was the most dominant faction in professional wrestling history. Gentlemen, I'm just going to throw this around here. Any one of you can step up. I've got my views. Is the bloodline the most dominant faction in history?
No.
Why not?
Flat out, no. Because, one, they're not the Four Horsemen. 2, they're not the NWO. I think those are the two tops that come off on my head.
They're not DX.
That is true. They're not DX. NWO as it got down the line was kind of went downhill when you added all the ancillary people. But at the original of Hall, Nash, and Hogan, and even you could even throw Six in there. That was the best of the NWO. The Four Horsemen, Arn, Tully, Ole, Rick. That was good. Take out Ole. If I remember right, they put was Lex Luger the next one after Ole that they put in, or was it Barry Windham?
The one that stands to me is Arn, Tully, Barry, and Rick. The four that held the gold. I think you have to look at there, and I look at what's here too. And Assad, thank you for throwing that one out there. The Judgment Day.
They could be. Judgment Day could be, but not yet.
And you look at some of these messages here. Jeffrey Wilson making a very interesting comment here. But I got to tell you right now, we're seeing some people here talking about the Nexus. Doug O'Shea talking about the Freebirds. Evolution. I mean, there are
the Nexus made a great impact because I remember watching that show and what is like, hey, they like destroyed the ring. They destroyed John Cena, Punk, Serena, Luke Gallows, the announcers, the ring announcer, everybody that night. They made a great impact. There was no real follow up on it. Evolution, I can kind of see them as a top five faction because anything with Hunter and Rick and so
I can tell you right now, Chris, and I'm just going to throw it out here, and this is going to be probably one of the edgier things you've ever heard me say. To me, I don't think the Bloodline is even in the top 5. I look at it from the perspective you've got the Heart, you got the Heart Foundation. You've got groups like the looking back at what's here, the Dangerous Alliance. You have groups like I kind of can't necessarily go with the Nexus, but I mean there are just so many great groups that came through the WWE. And I'm gonna say right now,
talking about the Bloodline, I read somewhere that they're like, why isn't Naomi part of the Bloodline? Because she's married to Jey Uso. It doesn't make sense right now. It would make more sense for Tamina Snuka to be in the Bloodline than it would for Naomi to be in the Bloodline.
And also, hold on one second. We got another one thrown out here. Another one that was kind of slipping my mind here. Nation of Domination. Another great faction. And guys, speaking of factions, and I mean, we could talk about this for a long time. We've talked about it, and we mentioned it earlier on, the Judgment Day. And we have one more question. We're going to have CJ Scheinman, Animal Pro D1 champion, on here in a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and throw the last question up here. This was one.
Well, real quick, we'll summarize that statement though up with them being the best faction. We'll summarize it up real quick in one quick statement from our friend the Iron Sheik. That's all that needs to be said.
Okay, now moving right along to our last question here. I got to tell you, this one I actually got from a fan of the Wrestle Talk podcast, and we have the idea of one that Jeff, you summarized the whole thing, that all other factions have been following the footsteps.
Exactly.
I totally agree with you there. And Chris, you brought up this other one here, and Haas, if you would bring up the last question that we have here for tonight's High Spot segment. Talking about Judgment Day, or the Judgment Day. The question is Rhea Ripley a good fit for Judgment Day?
One, I'm going to say, this is probably going to be a really bad opinion, but one, the Judgment Day for a faction name is stupid. I've said it many times. I'm in a group chat with some wrestling fans we talk about wrestling, and I think the Judgment Day is a stupid group name. However, irregardless of that, I can't change that. I like the fact that Edge and Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are together. They might need one more person to kind of round it out, and we can talk about who that might be. I have my suspicions, but
Is it a member of royalty, Chris?
No.
Is it a man who's traveled to New Japan?
Probably. I mean, I'm not quite for sure. If you're going down the Finn Balor road, I'm saying no. I think Tommaso Ciampa. I'm sorry, Ciampa, because apparently we lose first names when you get called up into the WWE. I think Ciampa is going to be. Ciampa would be a perfect fit. However, I could see Finn doing it because he is kind of teaming with AJ, and is AJ going to be the Sting of the WWE? Because everybody turned on Sting to go heel. Is AJ going to be that guy in this one? So I mean,
I'm going to tell you right now, Chris, and this is going to sound weird. I know you're making fun of the Judgment Day name. It's Payback. You want to know where it is? When AJ made it a point that Finn Balor left the Bullet Club. It's going to be Payback. I'm just going to leave it at that. And you know what, guys?
I get. Is the WWE fans really going to remember? Okay, you got to remember, you have your hardcore wrestling fans and you have your WWE fans. Are your WWE fans going to know anything that happened in New Japan Pro Wrestling with Finn Balor leaving the Bullet Club?
That is true. And again, that's one of those kind of thinking a little bit differently. And again, Sonny Money and Jeff Wilson bringing up some great comments here talking about this.
The Brood theme should never be updated. It's the best. It's one of the best themes out there. It should never be updated. Don't ever say that blasphemy again.
Well, I can tell you right now, guys, we could go on with a lot of things here. And as you see right here, after the CJ Shine interview, the Night Owl bringing up the Friday Night Challenge, and it's going to be presented right here after the break. So you got to stay with us because the FWWC Friday Night Challenge card is going to drop in a little bit over 30 minutes. Now, Hardcore Hoss, I got to tell you.
Who's this Little Justice guy?
This Little Justice guy is a very important individual.
He's coming after Hoss. You don't come after Hoss.
That is true. That is true. Well, I got to ask you, Hoss, our first guest, I know he's ready to go.
Yes, he is in the green room and looks like he is ready to roll.
Okay,
he's enjoying our green M&Ms and all of our assorted waters and stuff.
You know something, Chris? I got to ask you a question. A little bit of a sidebar here. Who has more energy, CJ Shine or Sonny Money Mayo?
Oh God, I'm not quite sure. That's a pretty loaded question there. Sonny Money brings it all the time. So, but
and so does CJ Shine.
Yes. So I guess let's go ahead. We'll bring on our first guest for the 7:00 hour, ladies and gentlemen. 2 weeks ago, approximately 2 weeks ago, he won the second annual Keon Option Memorial Battle Royal and took home the Dynamo Pro D1 champion. Had some great matches this week at the Cinco de Mayo Festival. And this Saturday night, he is going to be at the the historic South Broadway Athletic Club for MMWA, taking part in the second annual Tony Costa Memorial Battle Royal. So please welcome the Dynamo Pro D1 champion, the Caramel Bear, CJ Shine.
What's up, everyone? What's going on?
All right.
CJ, my friend, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Can you hear me all right? I couldn't get my headset to work.
Oh, no, you're good. I can hear you fine. Luke, can you hear him?
I can hear him A-okay. And I got to tell you guys, if you haven't had a chance to check out the footage from this weekend, there was a picture. And I know you've seen it, Mr. Shine, when you took flight and all those wonderful locks were just flowing in the breeze.
I know, right? Man.
It was probably.
I was like, man, my hair grew out a lot. I was like, it's in my head. It's in my face right now. I'm moving it right now. But I heard your question. While I was in backstage, and it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter who I go against. It doesn't matter the new people, the old people. I have the most energy in WWE, TNA, Dynamo Pro Wrestling. It doesn't matter what promotion I go to. I have the most energy out of every wrestler out there because I am CJ Shine.
And you make a few extra dollars by dancing for the female fans at ringside. So I mean, I've seen some dollars go down those tights. But actually, I want to ask you. I'm going to take you back a couple of weeks ago during the second annual Keon Option Memorial Battle Royal. You took home that title. I know you kind of came up and trained with Keon. You kind of came out in the same group as Keon and Mike Outlaw and Justin Dier. What did it mean to you to win that battle royal? What were your feelings when you threw Surge over the top rope?
I mean, it was an emotional thing because my first 3 years I just didn't really have the positivity in myself. I didn't. I felt like everyone, all the other wrestlers that I trained with, was passing me up and going off doing a lot of things. And like I was about to quit like 3 different times. And every time Keon came up to me and started talking to me, and he was like, you're doing good. You just don't see it in yourself yet. And he said, I guarantee you, if you quit, then he said, I guarantee you, if you quit, you're going to regret it. And it's like, don't quit, just keep going. I guarantee you everything will be all right. And then, it did.
Yeah,
It really did. And I found out later than everyone else, whenever he passed away, when Keon passed away. And, it hit me pretty hard, but I just kept going and I kept working my butt off and trying to prove to each and every promotion that I work with that I'm going to put 110% no matter how I feel. If I feel down that day, I'm going to give you 110% because I found out once I'm in that ring, like my energy level just skyrockets even more.
and I think that's the thing that Keon brought to the locker room is like he brought this he brought this like positivity to everybody, just everybody. He's like anyone that was feeling down, he would go up to and just be like, "Hey man, you had a good match." I believe that Ricky Rodriguez tells a story that when he had his first match against Mikaze, Keon came up to him and said, "Man, you did great," and just he was just such a positive guy. And seeing you in the ring and pointing to the sky, I could only imagine what was your feelings in your heart at that point when you held up that title and knew that you won the Keon Option Battle Royal.
Yeah, man, you're just bringing up so many emotions in me right now. But no, the fact that I won the D1 championship and it was during the Keon Option Battle Royal, it just meant so much more. I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh yeah, well, all you had to do was throw someone over the rope, blah blah, this, that, and the other. You didn't have to pin them." But that's the one thing about me. It doesn't matter if I'm in a rumble. Like every time I'm in the ring, if you're wrestling against me, win or lose, I guarantee you had to work your ass off to beat me.
I completely agree. And this Saturday, you're going to be in another Memorial Battle Royal, the Tony Costa Memorial Battle Royal at MMWA, at the historic South Broadway Athletic Club. What are your thoughts going into that?
MMWA was like the third promotion that ever gave me an opportunity to prove myself and to keep going into to trust in me in their locker room. And Tony Senior, he Me and him had some talks here and there before he passed away, and man, this one's going to be a tough one too, because he would just come up to me and he would just say, "Dude, he was like, dude, you got it, you got this, you got this." And I'm sitting here like I didn't even know him on a personal level. He just came up to me and just said, "You got this," shook my hand, and then went off to and did his own thing. And so I'm going to be in that, but
Yeah.
I'm also.
Uh-oh.
I believe I believe I'm also going against Benjamin Trust as well.
Benny 3 belts.
Yeah, that's he's a tough dude. Ben and I, we went to school together. We grew up in the same town. And he's coming up really quick in independent wrestling, and I think a lot of people underestimate him.
Very
And but I'm on the same level. A lot of people underestimated me, and that comes back to where once he's in the ring with me, he's going to find another level of fighting. He's going to find another survival tactic that he's going to be able to use in the future, win or lose. He's gonna get into a big fight with me.
Nah, I can't wait. I will be there. I will be guest ring. I guess I can break it here. I'm going to be a guest ring announcer at MMWA this next week because the regular guy is out of town. So Tony called me up, and so I said, sure, I'm going to come. So I get to see CJ and Ben. So I think that's great. So I know I'm sorry. I know Luke's got some questions for you. So
well, I'm going to go to the comment line here as we look at here. First one is brought up by our good friend the Night Owl. What other promotions outside the St. Louis area has CJ worked for? And I got to tell you, I've seen you in a couple different promotions, but can you share with the viewers of the program what promotions? I know you've wrestled for Dynamo Pro, wrestled for MMWA, among others. What other promotions have you wrestled for?
Oh, man. I did Dynamo Pro Wrestling, MMWA, IWA Productions. I've done a couple of matches in IWAU a long time ago. Strictly Insane. I've done IWA Mid South. Freelance wrestling over in Chicago. I forgot about RSWF over in Memphis. I've done that one, and then a couple in Tennessee and that I can't remember.
And I believe you also just wrestle recently for Pro Wrestling Epic, or you're going to be wrestling for Pro Wrestling Epic here coming up. I believe didn't you take on Blake Steele just about a month ago?
Yeah, Blake Steele. I forgot about. Yeah, well, I didn't forget about it, but like so many promotions, like I try to keep in touch with and keep in my head.
Are you still a tag champion up in IWA Productions up in Mount Vernon with Marcellus? I believe it was with Marcellus Knight, right? That you were tag
no, we actually lost those. We lost those to Warhorse.
Man.
Those two, I'm telling you, those two are beasts. I'm surprised they're not in like the top tier promotions.
Well, CJ, I got to tell you right now, and I'm going to throw one more comment out here before I start throwing some questions. And we got to throw the one here from Jeffrey Wilson. And again, Jeff, Hardcore Host, you can bring up Jeff's comment. This is one of those where I got to share this with you. You were talking about it earlier on. I don't know if Hardcore Host is noticing or not, but if not, he's talking about he's wanting your hair. Here it is. I'm just going to leave it there for you.
Who wants it? Who wants it?
That's Jeffrey Wilson, our good friend over at Everything Combat, the Conspiracy Farm. It's Me Speaking to You podcast. Great friend of the show. And like I said, he's one of those that he's digging the hair. And again, I just wanted to make sure that you had that there. Now, I want to go ahead. You've talked about a lot of different things.
Wait a second. Listen here, Jeffrey. If you want these locks, you're going to have to wrestle me in the ring. You got it?
Oh,
Oh,
I can tell you this, CJ. I wouldn't make that offer too loudly because I think Jeffrey Wilson would be one of those. He'd come down here to St. Louis. He's up on that.
he's got Pat Miletich in his corner, doesn't he?
That is true. I mean, his broadcast colleague with Everything Combat. That'd be something I'd want to see. Now, let's go ahead here, and I want to throw a little bit of a different spin here on things. Now, a lot of people know back at the fight before Christmas that Camaro Jackson won the Dynamo Pro D1 champion and was the first man to hold second man to hold 2 championships in Dynamo Pro Wrestling at the same time. The first was the King of Chaos, Ricky Cruz. But technically, when you won the Dynamo Pro D1 championship, you entered a rare history of being the third man to hold 2 championships simultaneously. Because if I'm not mistaken, you are still the Gateway Harley-Davidson champion as well. So,
Yeah.
So my question to you is this. How does it feel to know in your career that you've held 3 championships in Dynamo Pro?
You know what? I always tell people, I was like, people are like, well, you haven't defended it. I'm like, hey, I'm the longest Gateway champion holder in Dynamo Pro history. 3 years, baby. 3 years.
And I can tell you, there's gonna be a day
3 titles. I'm loving it.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Dynamo Pro Wrestling is in negotiations as we speak to return back to Gateway Harley-Davidson here in the summer of 2021. And I'm going to tell you, or 2022, I'm a little behind the times, but you know something, when it comes down to it, CJ, I know you're a fighting champion. My other question to you is this, and I know you were a part of Cinco de Mayo. I know that you've had the opportunity and you were watching. I saw you taking notice of the 2 matchups between Mike Outlaw and Lights Out Adrian Surge over that MWR Missouri State Championship. And my next question is 2 parts. Number 1, what did you think of both those matchups? And number 2, have you given any thought about competing for the MWR Missouri State title in the future?
Oh man, that's the MWR title is one of those goals that I really, really want. I really want to make happen. And the reason why I watch those type of matches is because I can learn from those matches. And if I have to go up against those guys again, which I've had multiple times, then I could come up with tricks that they don't know.
Well, I can tell you right now, CJ, I mean, again, you saw it just like everybody else.
Did Luke freeze?
Not one, but championship changes as a part of Cinco de Mayo. And we got to go back here to the comment lines. There are a couple more here. We've got them here, and these 2 both are big. Number 1, what's the most important lesson you've learned in the professional wrestling industry?
Always stay positive. That's the only thing I can say. Always stay positive, because there's a lot of negativity. It doesn't matter if it's in the back or in the front. From your family, from your friends, you always have to stay positive.
Okay, let's throw the other one out here, and this is one that I don't think you were prepared for. What do you think of Richard Douglas? He made his in-ring debut at Cinco de Mayo. I got to ask you, you've heard the hype. You saw him in the ring against ATM. What are your thoughts of Richard Douglas?
Honestly, man, I'm a big fan. I like his mic work. I like his wrestling techniques. Even though it was his in-ring debut for Dynamo Pro Wrestling, he's been wrestling over at IWA Productions, and last summer he went and he trained with Dustin Rhodes for 3 months.
You gotta give him props
so
for
like
that.
yeah, big props for that. Like, that's a lot of dedication, hard work. He had to like leave his job and leave his home just to do that.
Yeah.
And he, like, a reason why I'm a big fan of him is because even though sometimes he doubts himself, I'm going to be honest with this. Sometimes he doubts himself. He's dedicated, and he knows what he's doing. That's why I'm a big fan of him, and I can't wait to wrestle him at Dynamo Pro Wrestling.
Let's talk about the slams and jams that's coming up in a couple of weeks for Dynamo Pro Wrestling with the Arch Derby Roller Girls. You were a part of the first slams and jams event, and I know you had a good time. I believe you took on the Snitch that night, if I'm not mistaken. But this time you were defending that Dynamo Pro D1 championship against Lights Out Adrian Surge, the man you eliminated to win that title. What are your thoughts going into that match?
You know what? He's lights out. I'm shine. Let's go for it. That's all I can say. I'm ready for it. He's just gonna feel the lightning whenever he gets in the ring with me.
I mean, and being part of the first slams and jams, I can tell you I enjoyed myself there watching the Roller Derby Girls first, and then coming on and having a small show. I don't know what your thoughts are going into the whole event in general.
Oh man, you know what? I don't even know, because the last time I was there, you just didn't know what to expect, man. It was a crazy time. I'm just there to have fun. It doesn't matter where I go. I'm just there to have fun.
You always have fun. Your entrance is I believe Luke put it in our group chat that it was infectious, and you just can't help but smile when you hear Uptown Funk, or I believe you also come out to 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. It just you can't help but get up and dance a little bit. So I mean some people they sit down there and they sit on their phones, and I need to get them up. I need to get them energized. I need them to feel my energy. Coming out. We got a little trash talk coming here. Big Hoss, can you put up that Adrian Surge comment there?
A little bit of trash talk.
Apparently, Adrian Surge is listening to the podcast tonight.
Let me listen to something.
He said you could turn the lights out on that brief D1 title reign, friend, is what he said.
It's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long time, Serge. I'm coming after you. Don't get me wrong. You might be the challenger. But trust me, I don't go in there, and I do not underestimate anyone.
I mean, should we bring up that Adrian Surge might be the shortest reigning MWR Missouri State champion around, since it started? But, I mean, he's only one of two that has held the title for less than a day. So,
Sonny.
Sonny.
Yeah, Sonny's right. Adrian Surge poops himself. I know that for a fact. I shared the locker room before with them.
So you're not scared of Surge coming up at Slams and Jams?
Oh no.
Well, I got to throw this out here, CJ. And again, this is going to sound strange, but I'm going to throw this at you. I know you're not worried. I've never seen you worried. I've seen that infectious energy. I mean, you've made entire crowds of people. I remember at the last Slams and Jams event, you had close to 700 people up on their feet, moving and grooving with you. But I got to ask you this. Aside from all the trash talk, how do you prepare for somebody who had nearly 1,000-day reign as the Dynamo Pro heavyweight champion, who's now coming after your championship?
Luke, for as long as you've known me, you know that's the easiest question to answer. I've been in that ring for 8 years now and never knew anyone that I was wrestling. I've never been prepared for anyone. That's why I fight and I fight and I fight. He prepares for people. I don't. But since you guys told me, because I didn't even know I was wrestling them, I'll be honest with you.
You know something, though? I got to tell you. And I mean, again, you and I have had a very good rapport. We've known each other for many years, have a lot of mutual friends, both inside and outside of the world of professional wrestling. And I'm going to tell you, as a friend, not as a media relations director, not as a host of the Wrestle Talk podcast, but as a longtime friend of CJ Shine, I'm nervous. And the reason why is simple. If this would have been Adrian Surge 3 months ago, I wouldn't have been worried. But the men that he's been kind of around, people like the Agents of Chaos, among others, doesn't that make you a little bit apprehensive, a little bit nervous of who's going to have Adrian Surge's back?
No, not at all. Because I've been around for a while, and I've seen Adrian Surge even more dangerous. I'm not scared of Agents of Chaos. I'm not scared of what is it, ACH or something like that.
ATM.
I don't know. I don't know the initials. I don't pay attention that well.
What about the Brotherhood? What about the Brotherhood? Ricky Cruz and the Butcher, Damian Blade, and Cayman. I know you've had kind of a rivalry with them recently too, as well. So
now that team is unpredictable. You have 3 guys that's been in the business for a very long time, and they know how to manipulate the system.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to manipulate the system the way they do, I can tell that they are scared of the young guys. Because the young guys are coming up, they're fighting up, they're getting the ranks. They're coming up close to them and about to push them away. But, like I said, they play the system. They're hard to figure out.
So Cayman actually posted a video saying that he didn't think that you deserved this title shot against Ben Trust this weekend at MMWA. Because he beat you at the last month. What do you have to say about that?
He cheated.
Well, probably. I mean,
Probably. I don't just say it how it is.
I mean, probably.
He didn't beat me. Like I said, he had his friends with him. He's ready to whine and cry. I'm ready to whine and dine. Let's go.
Well, I got to tell you right now, CJ, this is the CJ Shine that I've known for many years. This is the CJ Shine that always goes out and gives 100% each and every time he gets in the ring. Now, I'm going to throw one more question at you. Just a little bit of a different question before we kind of wrap this up here. And Chris, I know you've been wanting to know this too. As a part of Jams and Slams, we have a women's championship match. Reigning Victoria defends her championship against Ashlyn Alexander and Maddie Exodus. But I know there's one match you're going to be watching very, very closely. Not that you're not going to be watching your match very, very closely as well. But my question is this. The main event, Dynamo Pro Heavyweight Championship on the line. The Quad Father Camaro Jackson or the returning KB Violence Kareem Brigante? How do you see this match going?
Honestly, I've been in the ring. I haven't been in the ring with the other, but I've been in the ring with Camaro, and that dude is a freaking train.
Strong brick house.
Yeah, and that is the one person. That is the one person with every hit he gave me, I felt like I was getting hit by a truck. And I literally, and I promise you, I guarantee you, I had to fight him 100% of what I got.
The Snitch cost you that match, if I remember right. The Snitch cost you that match by jumping in, and the Snitch has got a new attitude. I'll talk about that in a second.
Well, Chris, I got to look right here, and this is going to be kind of here. CJ and I have been friends for a long time. Sonny Money and I may have some problems. We're back together in 2 weeks. You look here, Kareem with the win. I don't know. I really.
I mean, it's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be what Biggie like to put it as like big beefy men slapping meat is like what he always like to say, and that's what the match is going to be. So,
well, Chris, like I said, speaking of which, here we've got the CJ Shine, the Dynamo Pro D1 champion, Gateway Harley-Davidson champion, a man who's going to be in the ring the next 2 Saturday nights. But right now, and again, I was just made aware by the media department of the Wrestle Talk podcast. Again, this is one of those where we have to listen to our bosses. We have, in just a few minutes, we're going to have the Night Owl joining us. We're going to have the representative from the FWWC talking about the Friday Night Challenge. So right now, what we're going to do before we wrap things up, because we know CJ Shine is a very busy man. He's always positive. He's always smiling. He's always dancing. And I'll tell you right now, Chris, I know you're disappointed because he didn't get to do a cartwheel here on the program tonight.
Oh yeah, but Serge tried to do a cartwheel the other day too. So
that falls in probably my top 5. I couldn't control myself. I mean, it was that simple. It was hilarious about what he tried. But you know something, CJ, before we let you go, we have what's called every week called the Shoot and Shout segment. Hardcore Hoss, I hope you're got the music taken care of. Basically, it's going to give you an opportunity to vent what's on your mind. Positive, negative, anything that's on your mind. We're going to give you the opportunity here in just a minute, if you're willing, to kind of take a second and vent. To be positive, if you will. Are you willing to take part tonight?
Sure.
All right. Well, like I said, this is going to be something, not that I didn't already enjoy the interview, because you and I always have a good time, and I know you and Rodell always have a good time. But Hardcore Hoss, can you go ahead and hit the music for the Shoot and Shout segment?
It's just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. Everything is fun, everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you want to justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life's on contract. Best bet's to stay away, motherfucker. It's just one of those days. It's all about the heat.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've got CJ Shine to have a bigger smile, which I didn't think was possible, but now, right now,
how can you not smile to Ragtime Limp Bizkit? You know,
Right?
At this point, I don't know where else to go. Welcome to the Shoot and Shout segment. It's an opportunity to let everybody here on the Wrestle Talk podcast kind of vent about what's going on. After that, Chris, I'm going to throw it to you or to Hoss because I need a minute.
I don't really have anything. I want to hear CJ Shine. I want you to talk about this week at MMWA and then talk about next week at Slams and Jams. Adrian Surge, you've got about, I don't know, take as long as you want. Give us your thoughts on both shows. Whatever you want to say. Call out anybody you want to call out.
I'm probably going to keep this short because I agree with Sonny. Adrian Surge is probably running out of time at McDonald's using the Wi-Fi password. It only has 15 minutes every time. So let me tell you this. Over at Slam and Jams, Adrian Surge, I'm coming after you. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter if I'm champion. I'm always coming after you. I'm beating you. I swear I will. But besides that, coming up this Saturday, MMWA, Benjamin Trust, you are in a fight for your life. You are in a fight for that championship. And you better, and I guarantee you better come at me with 110%. All right? That's all I got. But everyone on here, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at RealCJShine, and I'll talk with you. We'll have fun. We'll play some games. I'm on Twitch too. Let's do it.
The pinkies up. I know you're a big gamer. Do you have a Twitch channel?
Yeah, I do. So my Twitch is actually www.twitch.tv/Koomoe. It's KOOMOE.
Cool. I mean, I knew you were big into the gaming thing, so I mean,
you know something, Chris? We need to get, and again, this is going to be one of those that's out there. We need to get an episode sooner rather than later with myself and CJ Shine
and Dick Douglas.
We need to get a couple more gamers on here and have a gaming episode of the Wrestle Talk podcast. That'd be something that would be awesome. I'd lose every game. I'll warn you now, but it would be quite an experience of right here. And guys, now that I've gotten all the giggles out here, I'm going to tell you right now here, as we sit here and we look at what's there, I got to tell you, when it comes down to it, one of my biggest things of the week, is don't talk trash about CJ Shine. CJ Shine is the epitome of what a champion should be, much like Camaro Jackson. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to see CJ Shine represent the D1 championship and represent Dynamo Pro Wrestling, you need to make it a point to come out and to Slams and Jams on Saturday, May 21st.
And make sure that you join him at the historic South Broadway. You always got to say historic when you say South Broadway Athletic Club. The historic South Broadway Athletic Club this Saturday night for the second annual Tony Costa Memorial Battle Royal. He's going to be there. He's going to take on Ben Trust, and he's going to participate in the Battle Royal. So he's going to have 2 wins that night. So I really enjoyed it. And you already threw out all your social media information. I know you're on Facebook at CJ Shine, as your wrestler page. And then what were your Instagram and Twitter handles once again?
At real CJ Shine, the spaces are underscores because someone else took my name.
Someone wants to
Not
be
cool. Not cool.
Someone wants to be CJ Shine. I mean,
right?
I can't blame you. I want to be CJ Shine. I want to have all this positivity. So, I want to thank you for coming on. I know it was kind of a short notice thing. I appreciate you. You are now officially a member of the Wrestle Talk podcast family, and we don't want you to be a stranger. We want to have you on again sometime, and we'll talk more gaming, and we'll talk all about your career and everything. So, CJ, I appreciate it. I will see you Saturday night. And I appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. Anytime. You just let me know. I'll see you guys this Saturday. All right.
All right, brother. Have a good one. Stay out of trouble.
All right. Pinkies up.
Pinkies up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was CJ Shine, the Dynamo Pro D1 champion. You know something, guys? That was a great first hour. You can't be unhappy.
You can't help but smile with CJ Shine. I mean, honestly, Hoss is probably was smiling the entire time in backstage while he was putting up those comments, listening to CJ talk. What'd you think of that interview, Hoss?
I tell you, that was a really good interview, and I enjoyed it, and just all around good time.
Yeah, CJ's a good guy. I mean, Luke, like Luke said, Luke loves his theme music and loves talking to CJ, and
Well, you know something, Chris? We had a great first hour, and I know we're getting ready to take care of a break, but you know something? We've got, and Hoss, I need you to hit it. We've got more breaking news coming here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Can you hit it one more time, Hardcore Hoss? You've been waiting the entire first hour through a great CJ Shine interview, through the high spots, and now it's time to talk Friday Night Challenge. And of course, there's only one man to truly talk about the Friday Night Challenge, so let's go ahead and bring him in here. Those that are from the FWWC know this man very well. Hardcore Hoss, bring him in. And now Hardcore Hoss is trying to make sure all of our technical connections are working. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Direct from Wrestle Talk Central, and the man behind the FWWC, the Night Owl, Renee Martinez, representing the Lakers here this evening. And as a matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and throw things over to our broadcast colleague to talk about this Friday's Friday Night Challenge.
What's up, mi hermano?
¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa, gentlemen? A pleasure to be here. A rare mid-month appearance by your boy, early in the month, I should say. But I had to be here. As you guys can see in the background, our technical producer back there, can I go singles real here? I want to show this. And then also, do we have that graphic? Can I get a nod? Do we got the graphic too?
We're going to see here in just a second.
Sweet. But I want you guys to see this right here. Okay, so I'm already working on getting the board ready for next week. All right?
Those words don't make any sense.
Well, exactly, because it was Tyler Bodine and Luke Langley, and it was episode 293. This is 294, and then next week, myself and the aforementioned Dick Douglas will be hosting the show, and it'll be 5 episodes away from episode 400. And I was talking to a couple of my colleagues earlier on the phone. We've got some special things in store for you guys. Not only am I revealing the card for tonight for the FWWC on Friday, but I also am going to be introducing a brand spanking new Wrestle Talk podcast logo at episode 400, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be crazy, baby. And let me tell you, this thing was professionally done by one of the most respected artists in all of the Midwest, Little Popeye, a.k.a. my boy Felix. So before I go on into the card, I just want to say outstanding first hour of the show, gentlemen. CJ Shine is a class act. And Rodell, I love you to death, but I got to correct you. We're not welcoming in CJ Shine as the newest member of the Wrestle Talk family. We are appreciating him as a longtime member of the Wrestle Talk family because he's been a part of the show and participated and engaged with us for years now. And that's a big shout out from us to Dynamo Pro and really the whole Midwest wrestling scene that keeps CJ Shine working, man. The dude's been relevant for years.
We need to get CJ Shine out in the Kansas City area. I think he would brighten up the whole area.
You know, I know a couple guys that we can make something happen. You know what I'm saying?
Up too, Night Owl? We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah.
And it was brought up as an idea. We have to have the first ever gaming episode of the Wrestle Talk podcast.
Oh, yeah, brother. Maybe we can Wrestle Madness 3. Maybe we could do greatest wrestling video game of all time.
That'd be Wrestle Madness
4. Sorry,
it's coming soon.
I was about to
right
correct
here
myself.
on the show.
I would have to be out because I'm not a gamer. So
you can do your research. You can Google it, bro. You can Google it, watch videos. You know what I mean? You can do it.
From what I've heard, everyone has said, WrestleMania 2020 for the N64 was one of the best games that they've
And
seen.
I'm a WrestleMania 2000 guy for Nintendo 64. That's just me. But anyway, guys, I got to get to this card, and I have a graphic. So this will give you guys a few moments to go get take a pee break or get a drink or whatever. I will be quick. I'll be less than 5 minutes in. Hardcore Hoss, I know you can help me with this. So let's go ahead and get the graphics for all those loyal members of the FWWC. That's the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion. As promised to you by myself and Dewan Mills, we have the card for this upcoming Friday. Why are we doing it here? You know why, guys? Because the Wrestle Talk family and the FWWC family are one and the same. And we want to have a ton of crossover because we know a lot of people that are fans of us here on the Wrestle Talk podcast came over to the FWWC because of this connection and vice versa. FWWC people jump over and check out the Wrestle Talk podcast. Why? Because it's a huge connection. And if it wasn't for Wrestle Talk podcast, we wouldn't even have an FWWC podcast every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m., hosted by my partner in crime, the one and only CEO, Dewan Mills. So anyway, on to this card. And our card's a little bit different. We put our main event at the bottom. So when you say top of the card, you expect to see the main event there. No. We're going to start with the first match of the night, and we're going to work our way down. So let me get straight into it. First and foremost, we have the newly formed Assassin's Syndicate matching up against Assassin's Syndicate featuring Crimson Maniac and Ace with their manager and leader, the hybrid television champion, the Alpha, which, by the way, the Alpha, I got a bone to pick with you. That championship that you wear over your shoulder, that is not our hybrid television championship. You've decided to hijack the championship and make it your own. In most cases, I'm okay with it, but you're actually using a belt that I think is being desecrated over your shoulder, quite frankly. And looking to teach them a lesson this upcoming Monday night, also accompanied by a manager. That's right, La Familia's very own hardcore champion, Jimmy Rattlesnake, and a man who just earned his #1 contendership for the hardcore championship, Marcus Mayhem. Now, a lot of people are questioning, why would you put these two guys together? Isn't things going to get a little volatile? We're betting on it. I mean, these guys are a couple of rookies, even though they are with the Maniac. We all know Assassin's Syndicate is brand new. Crimson Maniac and the Ace are all new. So we wouldn't put them against two formidable guys like that in La Familia without there being a little bit of drama going on in the background. And as if that wasn't enough, ladies and gentlemen, they will be accompanied to the ring by a man that is always a thorn in my side, though I will give him credit. He helped us get rid of El Diablo last season. Ladies and gentlemen, your Warriors Heart / tag team champion, Sage Mode Mata, will accompany Jimmy Rattlesnake and Marcus Mayhem to the ring. Moving on here, we've got two returning superstars, two of our biggest, strongest, most dominant superstars that we've really ever had here in the FWC. one half of the Prophets of Madness, Madman Joe, who we saw in action successfully defeating, the Alpha, his partner last week, alongside the Bishop, will be facing off against a man that hails from the nastiest side of the north side of Kansas City, Columbus Park, a traditionally Italian neighborhood. Big T the Paisan returning to face the one and only Madman Joe. Also on the card for this upcoming Friday, we have Savior Saint, who we've yet to hear from you, Savior Saint. And you're a legend here. There's no question about it. You've earned your respect. But this is a new season, year 10 of the FWWC, and we haven't heard your voice just yet. And let me tell you how this is going to work. See, on the thread on Monday night, you said, I'll go ahead and face whoever comes out the number one contender for the Hardcore Championship match. Calling your shots, acting like a big shot. Well, instead of getting the winner, who ended up being Marcus Mayhem, as we discussed just a few moments ago, a Hardcore Champion number one contender, you will actually get the loser of that match, the man who scored the least amount of pinfalls that night, Lucky Lucha Warrior. And now there's some history between you two. There used to be a connection of friendship. So instead of you getting the winner, you get the loser. You know why? Because you ain't cut a promo yet, damn it. And if you ain't cut a promo, you ain't worth squat. You should be thankful that you're even on the card. I'm begging, I'm rolling the dice that whenever you do drop that promo and you hear what I'm saying about you right now, that we can get that fire, that Saviors of Funk passion and energy that we all know and love. Moving right along, a match that was supposed to happen last week. I guess somebody's deserted swamp was flooded. I didn't even understand that. If you live in the swamp, how could you be flooded? It's a swamp. So apparently Voorhees' home down in the swamps of Louisiana were flooded. He was unable to attend the matchup. Kano apparently missed his flight. He had his weapon and they wouldn't let him pass TSA. This is all things that it was reported to me by their representation. I'm not so sure that these guys aren't just trying to build this matchup to make it bigger and better. And then I realized this, ladies and gentlemen, this match is actually taking place on Friday the 13th. And for that reason, Voorhees will face Kano in a Friday the 13th tables match. And as if that was not good enough, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to say a whole lot about this matchup. One of our first ever mixed gender tag matches in FWC history. I think this is only the third one we've ever done. That's right. Haas Mafia, La Familia's very own. And holy hell, Oni, Fallen, champions in their own right. Two individuals who have continued to make an impact here in the FWWC over the last couple of years. Creative folks that are not afraid to take risks. And facing the Haas Mafia reunited is very, very risky for anybody. You'll see that matchup this upcoming Friday night. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the returning future FWWC Hall of Famer, Theory, a man who is a legend in his own right, will face off against the aforementioned Alpha. We've talked enough about the Alpha, but you guys know what this is about. This is about the original era, which Theory helped cultivate, and the new age, which is right here, right now, and the Syndicate is looking to dominate it. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, a match that was also scheduled for last week. And I have to say I was a little bit disappointed in these two gentlemen. And I'm talking to you specifically, Luke Justice. You see, you're running your mouth all night here, disrespecting the host of the Wrestle Talk podcast. But you're only here because the Night Owl had the night off, huh? If you knew that if I was booked to host the show tonight, you wouldn't be running your chancla. That's right, those two big flip-flops on the front of your ugly face, you donut-eating loser. We all know you're just a rent-a-cop in disguise. I don't care if Sage Mode, La Familia, I don't care who kisses your ass. This is the Night Owl, and you ain't getting none of that from me. Why didn't you show up last Friday, huh? You're here, you're making noise, you're interrupting the show, but you couldn't show up when you were supposed to? You didn't show up on Sunday either, did you? For Universe Mania 8 Backlash. So let me tell you this. If you fail to show up this Friday, sir, next week, you will be defending the FWWC World Championship because we're not going to be pushed around and bullied, okay? No civil forfeiture over here, my friend. No. You were the biggest and the baddest last year. You were rewarded for it at the end of the year. You got all the acknowledgement that you absolutely wanted. Some say you might have deserved it. Some say you might have not deserved it. But this is a new season. Just like I said about Savior Saint. This is year 10. The games are done. And you're going to have to show up here and prove that you're still FWWC World Champion and one half of the FWWC Tag Team Champions. that is the card for this upcoming Friday night. I've used up all of my time, and I will say this. We have room for one more match this upcoming Friday. If you're interested, don't message me. Don't send me smoke signals. Don't pass me notes in the classroom. Cut a promo, because that's what we do in the world's premier fantasy wrestling promotion. More information available to you guys by messaging me directly or by visiting WrestleTalkPodcast.com/FWWC. No, I'm sorry, /fantasy wrestling. That's WrestleTalkPodcast.com/fantasy wrestling. My time is up, gentlemen. You've got another spectacular interview lined up for tonight. I apologize for taking up so much time. Just absolutely had to get this out. Love you guys. Grace and peace. Be back next Tuesday for 395 with that guy Dick Douglas and his followers. I believe we're calling them the Dick Riders now. So
I believe that you could take Dick Douglas in a fight, Renee. I believe he could. I mean, we need to get that footage of him taking the pin at Cinco de Mayo festival. It was grand and glorious. I will say.
And I'm going to quote.
Had the footage where people are coming in and disrespecting.
Oh no!
Get out of here!
Are me and Renee the only sane people on the Wrestle Talk podcast?
Skywalker's still neutral on Douglas, so I think it's only because he has to be.
Yeah.
When he's in his basement drinking and beer, I'm sure he feels exactly the same we do about Dick Douglas.
Oh, Sonny! What the hell, man?
Okay, let me just say this. As far as the Night Owl fighting Dick Douglas, I'm going to quote the legendary DJ Quick. This is why I don't wrestle, okay? I ain't no big buff dude. I'm a rap singer. I only exercise one muscle. That's my strap finger. I'm out of here, y'all.
Peace, Renee.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Night Owl joining us here on the program, guys. I got to tell you,
what is Sonny drinking over in Kansas City? I mean, I feel that me and Renee are the only sane ones on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Luke has to stay neutral because he's the media guy for Dynamo Pro. So, but
well, you know something, Chris?
I don't know where Joe comes down on this. I know that Dick Douglas is a big snitch supporter, so I'm pretty sure that Joe's going to come down on the side of Dick.
Well, wait a minute. My question is, wouldn't the snitch be a supporter of Richard Douglas?
The snitch is a supporter of. I know the snitch is a supporter of Richard Douglas. I've seen the interactions on Twitter. So
that is true. That is true. But you know something, guys? We've talked enough about the FWWC for tonight. And again, make it a point. Check it out. WrestleTalkPodcast.com/fantasy wrestling. We had a great first interview. And I'm going to tell you, this is an interview that I very much am looking forward to. As Chris, you and Hardcore Hoss both know, I consider myself to be a very knowledgeable individual about the world of professional wrestling. As you can see back here, this is just a small portion of the office of Luke Roberts, the knowledge, the history of professional wrestling, a sport that I love very, very much. And I'm going to tell you right now, our next guest here tonight on the Wrestle Talk podcast is a man who I can say has brought forth a documentary showcasing one of the unsung heroes of professional wrestling, a man who spent a lot of time inside the world of professional wrestling, competing against wrestlers, sharing the ring with the likes of such wrestlers as Andre the Giant, Rocky Johnson, the legendary Blue Demon, just to name a few. And I got to tell you right now, it is indeed my honor and privilege to welcome, as a part of the second hour of the Wrestle Talk podcast here tonight, episode 394. Let's go ahead and hit the intro music as we welcome tonight's second guest, Jason Brasier, to the Wrestle Talk podcast. Go ahead, Hardcore Hoss. All right, well, Jason, on behalf of myself and my broadcast colleague here, Chris Rodell, as well as Hardcore Hoss, we want to welcome you tonight to episode 394 of the Wrestle Talk podcast.
I'm glad to be here. Sorry, I guess my camera went out there for a second. I'm back. Okay.
Hey, it's one of those things. Technology is great when it cooperates. And I mean, again, it's one of those things. I got to say, when it comes down, we've talking about it here and a large amount of knowledge about professional wrestling. I got to say, this interview is already starting off on a very good note because if you look behind our guest, you have a Stone Cold Steve Austin wall hanging. I believe that is is that a blanket, perhaps?
That's an old throw I had from whenever I was in middle school, I believe. Yeah.
And if you look over there, over his other shoulder, an all-out poster talking about the wrestling of today as well. And I got to tell you, very, very envious of what you got there. Now, my first question is when I was doing my research on you, you're a man of many talents. But one of the things is that you've been a pretty much a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. My first question to you is, can you share with the viewers of the Wrestle Talk podcast your earliest memories of professional wrestling?
Oh, wow. I mean, I know that I caught a lot of things in the really early 90s because I remember catching different things, like seeing the Bushwhackers and things like that, because I was, in very, very faint memories. But, of course, I came up during the Monday Night Wars, and so my earliest memory of when I first really started getting back into wrestling was I flipped the channel, and it was a match between Cactus Jack, who was one of my all-time favorites, Chainsaw Charlie versus the New Age Outlaws. And it was that dumpster match they had. And that was my first kind of reintroduction into it, because I had only seen like some of the older matches. And so seeing a dumpster match, I was just enthralled and started watching.
That was the one where they pushed the dumpster off the stage, right?
Yeah, that was that one. And I started just tuning in every week, and then when WCW took off, I just started flipping back. I was that kid that knew that each group was probably backstage watching, which they were, and they would walk out, and like I would say, okay, well, that was a good match. I want to see if they're going to try to top it on the other show, and growing up during the Monday Night Wars was just Monday nights were just so thrilling, and because you didn't know what Stone Cold was going to do. You didn't know what the NWO was going to do when they first started, because that was such a big.
And the flipping back and forth during commercials to
and I got the best of both worlds. I loved it so much. You guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Okay. And like I said, it's nice to hear about a lot of the Monday Night Wars. And again, I also know from personal experience, when you go back into the days of the Hulkamanias, the Four Horsemen, the landmarks of professional wrestling, that you're very knowledgeable about those. Being from where you're at, what knowledge did you have of the area that you're from? I believe you're from the Kansas City area. Am I not mistaken?
Actually, I'm from a small town called Willow Springs. I'm in Springfield, Missouri now. This is pretty much where I've lived the last probably 10 or 15 years. And I have family in Kansas City, so I've been up there quite a lot. And I know that Kansas City was one of the meccas of, the territory days.
Harley Race and
those guys.
Yeah, because if I remember my Missouri geography right, Willow Springs is kind of right outside of Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, that's Blue Springs you're thinking of.
Blue Springs. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
There's a lot of springs on the map when it comes to this.
It's all good. It's a good shot. Now, Willow Springs is down in southwest Missouri. It's kind of near about an hour or two from the Arkansas border.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it's just Missouri is just kind of a weird state,
Oh, it is. I ain't gonna get no argument.
Oh man. Well, I want to go ahead and move on here because growing up in the world of professional wrestling, my brother was very much involved in the wrestling at the Chase era. My grandparents loved Georgia Championship Wrestling, but they were also very big fans of professional wrestling. And a name, when I started going back and looking at the name Mike Pappas, when you look at the Flying Greek, the names of the wrestlers that he had competed against, I mean, just going back over the course of his career, I mean, there are just so many matches with people that a lot of the newer wrestling fans may not necessarily be familiar with. My question is, what motivated you to create this documentary? I've had an opportunity to hear a lot of good things about it. What motivated you to create this particular film?
Well, I had been cutting my teeth on what was called a web series early on for about 7 or 8 years, and that's kind of where I got a little bit of notoriety. But I was looking to get back into not just doing stuff on the internet, and I wanted to get back into filmmaking. And I hadn't made a documentary since college, and I had been wanting to get back into it, but I was trying to find the perfect subject. And I was working crew on a talk show here in Springfield called Mystery Hour. And they bring this guy out, my friend Dave Smith. He's a big wrestling fan too. Shout out to Dave. But he was like, "Hey, did you hear we're going to have this old professional wrestler on here?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't know who he was at that time." And I, loving wrestling, I love history in general. So I even was going back and learning about the territory days even before this. And so when something gets by me that I don't know about, I always get very interested in it because I want to learn more. And so here comes Manoli Savenis, his real name, and he comes out on stage and he is just so funny. And he's just telling these great stories about Andre and stepping in the ring with Macho Man and all. I mean, just so many stories. I mean, I am just enthralled by this. And I'm like, how did I not know about this guy on my own backyard? And that's when it hit me. I was like, this could be my documentary. I just got to talk to him. And so I finished another project and I contacted him and we sat down and, oh gosh, it was probably a 2-hour conversation or more. And we were just talking wrestling. And it was just so cool to talk with somebody. It's one thing for us to talk about wrestling if we, but it's one thing to talk to somebody who is actually living it with these guys on the road. He's talking about Bruno Sammartino. He is talking about Dusty Rhodes. He is talking, Andre. I mean, he traveled with Andre all the time. And that's just the funniest little things you've got. Because Manoli's not a big dude. I mean, he's kind of probably almost as tall as Rey Mysterio or a little bit more. And they would travel together because they both could speak to each other. And I think Manoli knew some French. And so that's how him and Andre got along early on. And so you've got, as you can see here, this is one of our shirts that has Manoli and Andre holding them up. And I was just found myself really being a kid again with wrestling and talking about this. And I just asked him, I said, can I make a documentary about you? And it was pretty much just kind of took off from there. And we just started the slow process. And it was probably the least stressful project I've ever worked on because we didn't rush it. The thing that took the longest was trying to find footage of him, and we never could find any. I know some exist, but all of my detective work for a couple of years led to archives that were bought out by WWE Network. Now, that being said, I don't know if he was in a match, like if they still had matches and stuff, because I know it was back during that time when people would record over reels and different things. So there's some that's just lost the time. But of course, right after we premiere the film, I see this video pop up on Twitter. And it's Greg the Hammer Valentine, and he's going to do an elbow drop onto a piece of wood and break it, right? Well, I'm sitting there watching it, and I had to rewind it a couple times because I saw this other wrestler walk out and put the board down. And I went, oh my God, that's Manoli. It was Mike Pappas laying the board down. And so I'm like, I know there's footage out there that exists. I just was not lucky enough to find it. But I tried to wait as long as I could for something to pop up. But, and I'm glad I did wait as long as we did, because then I was able to, meet Medusa and get her on board with it as well. And it just turned out really well. And we're going to be, doing an online screening here soon. So, because I know there's people overseas that want to see it. And then we're going to try to do a few more showings between now and like August. And I'm hoping to have a DVD or video on demand release, hopefully in the fall.
Well, one thing you brought up too, and I really found it interesting, was the fact that you talk about wrestling history, and then you have somebody that a lot of wrestling fans would not expect to be a narrator, that being Medusa. I mean, I got to ask you, how was it to work with, again, she's had countless championships recognized by such organizations as the Cauliflower Alley Club, among others. Mm-hmm. How is it to work with someone like her when putting together this piece of wrestling history?
Deuce is one of the classiest ladies you'll ever meet. but she's also one of the toughest ladies you'll ever meet. And you don't want like every time. I remember when I first got a phone call from her, and I picked up the phone and said, "Hello, this is Jason," and she said, "This is Medusa," and I'm sitting here thinking, what do I say? Because I watch this lady wrestle all the time, and we've kind of become family. I mean, my daughter called her Aunt Deb, and when I asked her if she would be willing, I had nothing to lose. I was either going to be sure or it was going to be a no, and that was fine. But I'm kind of one of those guys that I'd rather try and know.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
exactly, and so I wrote all the narrations, and she recorded them a few times just to kind of get them right, and I would give her notes, and we would go back, and then when I was comfortable and she was comfortable, I just laid the tracks down, and then we edited them into the film. And it's really funny too, because it's the Flying Greek, so it kind of my thought was, well, it's kind of cool that it's narrated by Medusa, although her name means made in the USA, but since it's Greek mythology and Medusa, I thought that was kind of a cool combination as well. And it also just gave a sense, more of a sense of respect to Manoli, because you had a WWE Hall of Famer who is wanting to acknowledge this man's contribution to professional wrestling that's honestly been forgotten. But some of these matches I heard that he tells me about that he was in, I'm like, he was doing what we see now on television or in live events as normal. He was doing that back then, and it wasn't normal. And a lot of the bigger names, I think, really didn't like him because he was getting bigger pops than they were, because they loved him. I mean, he was telling me stories too, like a fan got out, climbed the rails, and got into the ring and tried to stab one of the heels because they were beating him up. That wrestler stepped out of the way, and that fan accidentally stabbed Manoli right here in the chest. He still has the scar.
Wow.
But that's how much of a
that just kind of shows you how during the days of the territory days that how these fans made it real, because you hear about the Freebirds in back in the day having to be like taken out by with police escort because they attacked the junkyard dog and made him bleed, and down in Texas they beat up the Von Erichs.
If you did that in Texas, man, you better run.
Right. So it just kind of shows you that back in the day, those people were hardcore. I mean,
I won't go much of a tangent on this, but I kind of feel like that's what's kind of missing for some stuff now, because WWE, when they decided to call it sports entertainment, and they started to say, I remember the whole thing where Vince is like, we don't want to insult your intelligence anymore. It was kind of like, I feel like a little bit of that magic, they just stopped. Not that they didn't stop trying, but when you kind of let the veil of illusion down a little bit, it kind of takes a little bit out of it, because I think with any wrestling or anything, you should be able to suspend your disbelief a little bit.
Right. And you've got right now, wrestling fans are so like in their own camps. Is like, you can't be a WWE fan if you're an AEW fan. You can't be an AEW fan if you're a WWE fan. I mean, I like wrestling. I watch both shows. I watch Raw. I watch SmackDown. I watch NXT. I watch Dynamite. I watch Rampage.
Yeah. Well,
I like wrestling, and I don't care who it is. I mean, there are certain parts of it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna dog on. I mean, I'm not a big fan of some of the storylines, but
and as fans, we should be able to do that because we're investing our time in their product, and so if you're investing time in somebody's product, and you've got some complaints. Like I feel like back in the day, like remember when The Rock, when he first started, he was just getting booed all the time, and it was really bothering him. And then they were told him to lean into it, and he did, and that's how The Rock became who he was.
Right.
Really.
Right.
You don't see that much anymore. At least with WWE, I haven't really seen a lot of people lean into things. I remember Road Dogg posting about something when they were trying to do the whole thing with Becky Lynch being the bad guy and Charlotte Flair being the good guy, and the people were booing Charlotte still. And to me, I was like, just let her lean into it, and it's going to go over.
It kind of reminds me of that double flip that they did at Mania, I believe 13, when it was Brett and Austin. How Austin was kind of that, that heel character that everyone kind of started to cheer because he didn't care about authority, and Bret Hart was becoming the whiny Canadian, and
well, exactly, and that's the thing about it is, and then Road Dogg, and if he ever sees me say this, I love Brian James. I have a lot of respect for him. I do. But I remember him saying, that's not the story we're trying to tell you. And to me, I'm like, that's not what wrestling is. You let the wrestlers tell the story through it. It was becoming, they were leaning more into the entertainment aspect of it.
The storytelling aspect of wrestling has definitely changed.
Yes. But anyway, sorry, I went off on that tangent there. But getting back to Manoli and the Flying
right.
Sorry. Some of his stories, though, have just, he was telling me a story the other day about Bruno Sammartino, and I was like, why didn't you bring that up during the interviews, man? That's an awesome story, and it just keeps coming up. Like, he just keeps remembering things the more he talks to me. And so I try to jot them down because I'm just like,
we might need a part 2 of this documentary.
Or I might end up writing a book at some point. I don't know. It's one of those things. I've got all of the material, but it was a lot of fun to make, and in the absence of wrestling footage, it forced me to be creative. And so I did a lot of like art house type of shots, kind of minimalistic, like a dark room with smoke and one light, and then I called them like dream matches, essentially, because it's like I was trying to film them like it was like a distant memory in his memory, and those turned out really cool.
Kind of like they did on the Dark Side of the Ring when they did the whole because they couldn't really use all of the footage, so they kind of had to like.
But what's really funny, I'm gonna bring this up. I actually shot my stuff before Dark Side of the Ring did, and then they went and did it, and I was like, ah.
So they stole your stuff. They saw what you were doing, and they stole your stuff.
Oh man, I doubt that, but there is one cool thing that I will never forget from making this film, though, and that was I actually got to do a segment where Manoli kept saying that he would show me his moves, and so I actually got him in a ring, and I let him basically beat the crap out of me. And growing up, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And so my friends and I, this is how I actually got into filmmaking, was we actually started writing and choreographing our own shows, wrestling shows, and
kind of like in the backyard type thing.
Yeah, but we didn't do that stupid stuff where you're jumping off the top of a building with light tubes and stuff. We didn't do that. I think the worst thing I ever did was I pile drove somebody through a coffee table, but that's because he went off script and was trying to show off to a girl that was there. And he was trying to fight. That was probably the worst thing I ever did. But he stopped after that. The match was over. But I got into choreographing and directing the matches, and it just, whenever. So here I am in this ring, and granted, at that time, I didn't know what the closest wrestling ring was. So I knew there was a boxing ring, and I know those things aren't going to give. So I told them, I said, I'll take all the bumps. I don't want you to take any, and I took some bumps, and it had been a long time because there's a few of them in that shot where I'm like, man, that didn't look good. And of course, the one time I did a good bump, we couldn't find the shot.
Yeah, of course.
And it was the one time he looked at me. And now that I'm recalling, I think it was whenever we were just kind of warming up before we filmed. But I took a bump, and he looked at me, and I said, "What's up?" And he goes, "You took that fall okay." And I was like, "Oh, I had to remember about 3 seconds before you hit me. I just because back when I was a kid, the only thing I could, put two and two together was I watched stuntman videos, how to do stunt falls and tucking your chin and watching how the wrestlers fell. And I just put two and two together. And that's basically what I did to make sure I didn't hurt myself and not get the wind knocked out of me.
Did you ever officially train with anybody like wrestling?
No. I would have loved to, but I got so enthralled with filmmaking after that. I would still love the opportunity at some point if I could, just for fun, one time. And because I knew Manoli at one point, he was telling me, he's like, "Oh, we should do like a big wrestling match, and I should have my official retirement match, and you can tag team with me." I'm like, I'm all down for it, but I need to start training like
yesterday.
And and it's been interesting. But that when he looked down at me and was impressed that on that, of course, the one shot that we didn't use or could find. I was like, for a guy,
of course, someone forgot to hit the record button during that one.
Yeah, and it's when you're just staring at tons of footage for hours and days on end, sometimes things just blur together. I'm sure it'll pop up in one of my hard drives back here, and I'll be like, "Oh, there it was the whole time," and I can reinsert it. But for him to sit there and tell me he was impressed with that, for him to say that to me was crazy. And as of right now, technically, I'm the last person that's been in the ring with him, and in a non-official capacity,
right.
But it, that hit me the other day.
But it kind of sounds like he probably could still go a little bit if he needed to.
Oh man, woo! He was a spry little turd. I'll tell you that. When we were filming, man, he was a kid. He was laughing and he was showing me how to do forearms. And I mean, I was a kid in the candy store too. I mean, here's this guy trying to show me the ropes, and yeah, I will always cherish that. That was just one of the coolest things ever. And
it sounds awesome, man. I mean, really, it does. So I'm sorry,
Chris. I was doing my research here while we were listening to this last story by Jason Brasier here, the filmmaker behind the Flying Greek about Mike Pappas. And there are some interesting pieces of information here. We talked earlier about Macho Man Randy Savage, WWE Hall of Famer, and I believe that this is accurate. That as of right now, they had competed in 4 matches. And surprisingly enough, according to what the records show that I was able to find, Mike Pappas is actually 3-0-1 against Randy Savage.
You are correct. I actually have the booklet back here if I can find it. Oh, there it is. The official, this is what we used in the film. Match history and everything we did. Yes, he is undefeated. He has a 3-0 win-loss record over Randy Savage. That's the first thing in there.
And the other piece of data that I found really interesting was over the course of approximately 3 years, from 71 to 74, Mike Pappas competed in 104 matches for the WWF. Now listen to some of the names who at the time hadn't competed in 104 matches. During the 3-year time period, Shane McMahon, Terry Funk Jr., 96. Ultimo Dragon, 94. Stacy Keibler, 92. And I could go on about several others, but to be able to see the kinds of things that Mike Pappas was able to do, and again, in this world of technology, there has to be footage somewhere.
Oh, I agree.
There's got to be somewhere to
let me know, please.
Like
it's probably all in the WWE. It's probably WWE has it in their archives in their big video vault.
We did contact them, and I did it once by myself, but I knew that was a long shot. Then we had a lawyer contact them, just professionally,
right,
to ask them. I was just expecting either a hard no or a hard number.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't hear anything. And part of me was like upset. I'm still kind of bitter about it because it was like, man, I understand that they're an entertainment company now, and that's kind of where they're trying to do things. But I'm like, if you got, I just hope that they will,
even if they
get from that older footage to some of these these
Right,
guys.
even if they just could have released a couple of like small things that that really are they going to make any money on the network by showing? So
Yeah, and it's always a long shot, and I understand it's a business and I get that, but if I would have even had a number, I probably would have been able to try. Either it would have been unachievable, or I would have been able to raise the funds for it, but we just never heard from them. And they probably get thousands of emails a day.
I was gonna say it probably got buried under all the other requests that they get for people wanting.
And that's very true, because if somebody from WWE is hearing this, they're probably like, we didn't get an email, and you guys probably didn't, because I probably got lost in the mix.
Well, one thing I was looking at too here. I mean, you're talking about some of the wrestlers that my papas have been in the ring with. Wrestlers like Austin Idol, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Bruiser Brody, the original Hollywood Blondes, Classy Freddie Blassie, Jerry the King Lawler, Mr. Fuji, Ric Flair, Tommy Gilbert. I mean, I could go on.
Yeah.
If you're talking about professional wrestling and you're talking about that time period of the 70s where the territories were all the rage.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he pretty much had been in the ring with everybody that you could possibly imagine. And, thinking about it too, is the idea of a lot of things that were there were things like Wrestling at the Chase and I know that there's a lot of that stuff that is still under the lock and key of the Matisic family. And there may be some of that avenue as well. But I mean, again, it's one of those.
Well, I even reached out. I tracked down some Wrestling at the Chase footage, and I God forbid, I can't remember the name of the company, but they basically were archiving everything. And I basically told them who I was, and I offered for free, if I could look at their footage, I would archive it and log it for them. But all I asked in return is that if I came across a Mike Pappas match, that I could at least use a clip or two and credit them for it, right? Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't respond to me. And I can't remember that company's name right now, which is fine. But and I get that people want to be protective of it. But me, before I became a filmmaker, I wanted to be an archaeologist and a preservationist. So the documentary for me is kind of a wonderful mix of both worlds that I like, with film and preservation, and visual preservation and preserving Manoli's story. And I want to be able to do that more down the line when I do other documentaries. And I'm hoping that if I do another wrestling documentary, that I'll be able to have a little more access and be able to work with more people to be able to get some of that.
I mean, I have a dream that I want to go through the big WWE warehouse that they have all the sets, all the caskets, everything.
Yeah.
That you kind of saw on that A&E series when they were trying to buy back stuff. So
can we talk about that for a second?
Sure.
Why is there not a museum? They are sitting on a. You know how many people, including myself,
I would be there
to go and walk down the Monday Night Nitro set that they have sitting there,
or come out the old school the neon light tube that they had on like Wrestling Challenge and Wrestling Superstars.
That, and I mean, they've got all the caskets, they've got all the headstones from the Buried Alive matches. I'm like, it baffles me that
we don't have a Hall of Fame and museum for the WWE.
Because to me, I understand they're trying to make it like to get people to go to like WrestleMania weekend and trying to make it like a one-off event. But I'm like, man, I think people would still come to that no matter what. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you had a museum of some kind, I just think that would be
exactly. I mean, I would probably make a vacation. I mean, I want to go to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I want to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto because I'm a big hockey fan. Yeah. I've been down in Nashville, but I haven't had a chance to go through the Country Music Hall of Fame, which is also on my bucket list. But man, if the WWE opened up something of like a brick and mortar place that they could have like displays of all the title belts, that would be cool. But also have the plaques of the WWE Hall of Famers, and then you could have,
well, and they also would have all the statues that they always reveal of the Hall of Famers as well. And to me, this is my pitch to it. I would be like, this could be your nonprofit arm of your company, because that's what museums are. This
Right.
could be used as a charity thing, which I know they're big on charity.
and donate it to the Be a Star, their Be a Star
Mhm.
Foundation, or or make it their proceeds go to Make a Wish, or whatever,
Or Connor's Cure.
or do something every month, or do a
Absolutely.
different charity out every month. The proceeds this month go to Connor's Cure, the next month goes to Make a Wish.
Oh, Paul Levesque or Stephanie McMahon, call me.
Hey, like I said, this is a man of many ideas, and like I said, we have the opportunity here to have Jason Brasier from the Flying Greek, the Mike Pappas story available. And I got to tell you, if this comes out on DVD or it comes out on an on-demand, I mean, and being from the St. Louis area, Chris and I are not that far away from Springfield, and we had the opportunity to have several of our past guests bring this forward to us. And I'll tell you right now, if this was ever going to be shown in Springfield or in a St. Louis market again, I would be there in a heartbeat. I would make it up and I'd camp out and be ready to go.
Tell you guys what, if you can find me a place in St. Louis where I can do a showing, I'll do it.
Hey, like I said, that's something that could definitely be worked on. I know there's a lot of fans in the St. Louis area that would love that opportunity. There's a lot of historians, too, that would love to have the opportunity.
And I know Manoli would come. I mean, he wrestled in St. Louis, too. I mean, he was prominent in Kansas City, but I know he wrestled in St. Louis as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
probably, like you said, wrestling at the Chase, probably, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, and it was great, too, at the premiere because we got Medusa to come. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but before the premiere, Manoli told me a couple of months beforehand, hey, he was suffering from colon cancer.
Mm.
Scared me. I don't like cancer at all because that affected my grandfather some years ago. And so I'm like, I really got to get this premiere going. And we put something together, and I told, and here's the thing, I'm going to make this clear. He's doing great now. I saw him just 2 days ago, and he's still, just,
Spitfire.
Oh God. Yeah. And he's feeling great, and I think the chemo did extremely well for him and got rid of most of it, I believe. And he's just doing great. He's in great shape. And, but I talked to Medusa and I said, hey, let's put our heads together and see if I think we should try and get him honored in some way, shape, or form. And I said, how possible? And I said, I know he's not a member right now, but I'm just tossing things out into the wind to see what sticks here. And I said, what about Cauliflower Alley? She's a member, so I let her kind of run with it. And we thought it wasn't going to happen. And then lo and behold, Brian Blair grew up watching Mike Pappas. And he is the head there, and he approved it. And so at our premiere, he didn't know this. And I've got video of it, and I can send it to you guys later, too. But he actually, Medusa comes out. He's thinking that she's going to just introduce the film. She comes out and starts reading a speech, and he got the Cauliflower Alley Award, and I think he's only of a couple of people who are non-members who got an award.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a powerful moment for me because it really touched him that he was being recognized by his peers. And when somebody says, thank you, and you can tell that it's not just them, it's not just words, and there's something to it. That was that night, and it let me know personally why I really made the film, and it was I had preserved his legacy for everybody to talk about from this point forward, no matter what. And that was another great moment, because having Medusa there and all of us and talking and meeting everybody, and Medusa made me sit down in the VIP thing afterwards and sign autographs with her and Manoli. I'm like, I'm not you guys. You guys are the... And she's like, you're going to sit down and you're going to sign these. And I said, okay.
At that point, you can't say no.
Right, because Medusa would probably force you down and tie you down and
German suplex me or kick me or something. I would just break it down.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't she have a book coming out soon too?
She is working on one. Yes.
Yeah, I know she's working on one. So
yeah,
she's definitely a badass chick. That's all.
Oh,
That's all you can
That's all
say.
you have to say. I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
If you look
And
up
one thing-
badass in the book, in the dictionary, her picture's there.
Right.
So,
Well, like I said, another thing too is you put it out there too. Again, we've had Brian Blair on the program in the past as well. And again, if anybody wants to really experience the history of professional wrestling, make it a point to check out this great movie, as well as also make it a point to head on out to the Colorado Alley Club. That last week in September, I know the Wrestle Talk podcast is going to be there myself, and I believe the Maestro Jeremy Karp, among others, are already got our tickets taken care of. We're going to be there in attendance as a part of that great event. And now, Jason, I got one thing to throw out here before we let you go.
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you've been made aware. I mean, we've talked to several mutual friends over the course of time. One of the things we do every week here on the Wrestle Talk podcast is we have what's called the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge, where you have the opportunity to compete against one of our wonderful staff
Okay.
as it relates to a professional wrestling topic.
Okay.
Now, I know you're a very busy man. You've got a lot of things going on. You know people that can suplex us and arm drag us all over the country and then some. But I would like to ask you, would you be willing to participate against one of our hosts here this evening?
Absolutely, and I'm sure I'll fall flat on my face, but let's do it.
No, don't worry, because the hosts are batting like 20% at winning in this thing. So
Well, this might change it. I don't know. I'm good at test, guys. I get test anxiety.
Well, right now, as it stands, because of the topic, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, being in the kind of position that I am, I'm going to volunteer my broadcast colleague, Chris Rodell, for tonight's episode.
Oh,
So, Hardcore Hoss, you'd be so kind if you go ahead and hit the music for tonight's episode of the world famous
All right,
Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. Go ahead and hit it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the world famous Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge. Tonight's contest is scheduled for the best 2 out of 3 falls. Our competitors tonight are filmmaker extraordinaire Jason Brasier and the Wrestle Talk podcast's own Chris Rodell. Now, gentlemen, in a few moments, what I will do is I will announce the category for tonight's challenge. It'll be a best 2 out of 3 falls situation. It's a category that both of you will know. So at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that tonight's Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenge category is National Wrestling Alliance.
okay.
United States Champions.
Okay.
Here's what we're going to do. Actually, I need to preface this a little bit. I think Booker T said it best with 5-time WCW US champions. So what we're going to do here is this. I'm going to name you characteristics, traits, historical information
Oh, God.
about 3 wrestlers. 3. I'm having an issue counting. I said 3 earlier. Now I'm saying 3. It's 3. I promise it's 3. And what we're going to do here is when you think you know who this wrestler is, you go ahead and shout out your answer.
Okay.
First to win 2 out of 3 falls will win tonight's contest.
And
Jason,
Hoss,
are you ready?
and Big Hoss is the judge. So
Oh boy, I'm gonna suck at this tonight for some reason. I have a feeling.
You ready to go, Jason?
I'm ready. Let's just do it.
All right, Chris, you ready?
sure, why not? Let's do
Okay,
it.
Hoss, you're the official judge. You're going to have to make sure you take care of this for us. All right, here we go. Question number 1. This individual is the first recognized NWA United States champion. A Missouri native, he went on to win the NWA World Championship.
Harley Race.
Jason Brasier is on the board, 1-0.
I was about to shout out Luthez. So
Championship on 8 occasions. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, the score is 1 fall for Jason. And Chris, you have 0.
yeah, it happens a lot.
All right, Jason, you ready for question number 2?
Yeah, let's do it.
And Chris, are
Yep.
you ready for question
Let's
number
go.
2? All right, here we go with question number 2. Question number 2. This individual was a 5-time United States champion. In addition to 2 Hall of Fame inductions and 16 world titles. Name them.
Ric Flair.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hoss, I got to go to you. It was close.
Yeah, he had it first. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think Chris had that one, as much as I hate to give it to him.
Shut up, Hoss.
All right. Well, at this point, let's say in traditional wrestling fashion, the first fall goes to, I guess you would say, the challenger year, and our reigning champion would have the second fall. So it's now time for that all-important third and deciding fall.
All right.
Jason, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Chris, are you ready? All right. We're ready for the third and final question. This 5-time WCW United States champion won his last WCW WWE United States Championship on Monday Night Raw. He is also an accomplished singles and tag team wrestler.
Arn Anderson?
Incorrect.
Oh.
Having been put into the WWE Hall of Fame as both a singles and tag team wrestler.
Booker T.
No. Proving to many wrestling fans that he is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Bret Hart.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's winner of the Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge with United States champions is Jason Brasier. So, Hardcore Hoss, as he shows off his t-shirt, can you go ahead and hit that victory music for him? All right. Well, Jason, like I said, you didn't trust your own judgment, but again, tonight you were able to come through 2 falls to 1 on the Wrestle Talk Podcast, world famous Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge. I got to tell you, it was a great contest. And once again, Chris, I'm going to have to go back and look at the episodes because I think you're in a pretty bad losing slump.
Yeah, I'm not very good at this, having to think on my feet stuff. So, you know.
Aren't you sitting down?
That too.
All right. And like I said, our another one of our broadcast colleagues, Renee the Night Owl Martinez, what a showdown. What a great, not only what a great Wrestle Talk Podcast Game Show Challenge, what a great interview. Jason, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming on the program. One of the things that the Wrestle Talk Podcast prides itself on is not only talking about the local wrestlers, the national wrestlers, and the international wrestlers, but we also like to focus on wrestlers who, like you have with this documentary, who may not necessarily get the recognition that they deserve. And again, if you have an opportunity, whether it's DVD or on demand or when this becomes available, you need to pick this up because this is a great story. There's a lot of great information about a great man who at one point, he wasn't necessarily focused on being a professional wrestler. He wanted at one point to be a professional boxer.
Yep.
And manages to wind up becoming a very accomplished wrestler in the Midwestern United States, competing with countless promotions all across the country. And I got to tell you right now, Jason, before we let you go, if anybody wants to find out more information about you or the documentary, where can they go to find more information?
You know, we have a Facebook. Just look up Mike Pappas Doc or the Flying Greek Doc as well. I'm on Instagram at Jason Brasier Film, and on Twitter I'm just at Jason Brasier. And the goal right now, guys, is I'm aiming hopefully for a video on demand DVD release, hopefully in the fall. That's what I'm aiming for right now. So we're trying to just get a few more showings in before we start that process. But I'll keep you guys up to date on it.
And I'll tell you right now, Jason, when it comes down to it, if you would please share that information with us, we'll make sure to share that out to all the viewers of the Wrestle Talk Podcast. We'll make sure we can include it on WrestleTalkPodcast.com. And I'm going to tell you right now, if it goes to DVD, if it goes to on demand, I'm going to tell you right now, you've already got at least one purchase right here because it's definitely something to be enjoyed and appreciated for all of the history. And I think the Night Owl made a really good statement.
Just shared your Twitter, so
has become a lost art, and it's glad that we have works like this. And again, I want to say on behalf of the Wrestle Talk podcast and the wrestling community as a whole, thank you for coming on the program and sharing this information. And I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to have you on the program sooner rather than later, because the idea of just being able to hear the stories. And, maybe it's going to be one of those somewhere down the road before we get too much farther along. Maybe we can actually have Mike Pappas on the show and share some of the stories that he's told you. And again, just be able to talk about professional wrestling from yesteryear and today. And again, thank you for everything that you've done and put together for this great story. And I definitely look forward to be talking to you again in the future.
Well, guys, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jason Brasier, the filmmaker and director of The Flying Greek, the Mike Pappas story. Make it a point to check that out wherever you can. It's a great story, and you're going to definitely be very much more knowledgeable about professional wrestling after taking part of viewing this great piece.
All right, Jason, be safe.
Hey, guys, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jason. Guys, I got to tell you right now, great show.
I thought we had good high spots. CJ was infectious. Jason Brasier brought the information. So,
And Chris, we got to throw it out here again. And Night Owl bringing that reminder, the Baltimore Celeb Fest, the Wrestle Talk podcast is going to be in the house. If you're catching us here in the Baltimore area, the Maryland area, Philly, up in the Northeast, make it a point to stop by Celeb Fest. We're going to be there.
Big Hoss and the Nightmare Jones will be in the house, I believe. So
I've heard a rumor too that there may possibly be, I don't know if it's going to be this go around or not, but I've heard a rumor that the Night Owl's really trying to make the journey out there. I know
I was thinking about making the journey up there, but I don't think I'm going to be able to swing this one. But maybe the next one.
Well, I can tell you right now, guys, the Wrestle Talk podcast is in high demand. We're going to be at Celeb Fest. We talked about it here earlier tonight. The idea of where we're going to be at the Cauliflower Alley Club in September. The Wrestle Talk podcast definitely taking it on the road, and I'm not going to share any info yet, but I know the Night Owl's been hard at work. He's the one that makes the big bucks. He's the one that goes to the high-profile meetings. I'm going to tell you right now, the Night Owl's been working on a couple of big projects. It's going to be an opportunity for the Wrestle Talk podcast to continue their journeys on the road, to even be able to be around more professional wrestling fans. Year 2022 has been going great. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, next week's going to put us at 5. Put us at 5 episodes. We are now, but after next week, 5 episodes to episode 400, a landmark show in the history of the Wrestle Talk podcast. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, as we mentioned here too, big logo, new logo reveal. I can tell you right now, we're already working on 1 or 2 big guests right now. There's going to be some really big things going with episode 400. And again, I have to say thank you not only to the Wrestle Talk podcast staff, also to all the guests that have come on the program here tonight and any night. We also have 2 more groups of people to thank. We need to thank those sponsors. And let's go ahead and throw them up here one more time, Hardcore Hoss, so we can get things taken care of here. Everything Combat, you saw Jeffrey Wilson here on the program earlier this evening. Kincaid Arcade, big things going in 2022 for them. Esports Bar Kansas City, Interstate 70 Sports Media, Royal Mills Production, Painter Dream Production, Rathbun Engraving, home of those great FWWC and Wrestle Talk podcast merchandise, including those mugs for the Wrestle Talk podcast. Me Fiesta KC Party Rentals, Noble Men's Barber Lounge Kansas City, Ask for Pete, and the Fantasy Wrestling Worldwide chapter. We also have to thank all the great viewers who've stayed with us here. Wrestle Madness coming soon, and I got to tell you right now, if you're in the St. Louis area, make it a point to check out all the great wrestling. There's going to be a lot of great wrestling here this coming Saturday. And
I will be at MMWA, the Tony Costa Memorial Battle Royal at the historic South Broadway Athletic Club. You can get your check them out at MMWA Wrestling on Twitter. I can't think of their ticket link right now, but last month they were there. They completely sold out the place. There was not a seat to be found. And that's about 800. And you've wrestled at Broadway at South Broadway with it being a full crowd, so you know if you know. So
that's true. And like I said, shout out to Glory Pro as well, and also for those that are going to be in the St. Louis area on Saturday night, May 21st, Dynamo Pro Wrestling and our Tribal Roller Derby present Jams and Slams 2. It's going to be in Queenie Park. You have an opportunity to see a great roller derby contest between the New Wheeled Order and the Block and Roll Express. You're also going to see Dynamo Pro Wrestling as well. 4 great matchups. We already talked about,
and they're all title matches.
That is true. We have the Dynamo Pro Heavyweight Championship. We have the Dynamo Pro D1 Championship. We have the Dynamo Pro Wrestling Women's Championship. And I can add this right now, a defense of the Missouri Wrestling Revival Missouri State Championship as the new 2-time champion Mike Outlaw. I believe he'll be taking on the Snitch, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be a great night of professional wrestling. And you know what, guys? It's a great night of professional wrestling every Tuesday night right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast.
Big Hoss, you got anything going this weekend up in the Virginia area, West Virginia area?
As I am every 2 weeks, I will be at WDWA Wrestling this weekend. They're at Custom Creations. Boy, can't talk all of a sudden. But yeah, I will be at Custom Creations in Martinsburg, West Virginia for WDWA. They're having a big show out there. You know, lots of good talent. Lobo Siler Andrews will be there.
ISP.
Yeah, ISP will be there. You know, just a lot of really good talent. They always put on a good show. And Nightmare Jones might even be there. Who knows? He could be tasered again. You never know what's going to happen.
God, we need to really find that. We need to find that footage and get this on. Because I mean, I think it should be a thing that Nightmare Jones gets tased every show. So,
well, you know something, guys, and one of the things that the Night Owl brings up here, make it a point, if you want to win that NWO lunchbox, make it a point to share the Wrestle Talk podcast. Make sure that you're letting people know about the program, because again, without you
talk wrestling,
that is true. Without you fans, Wrestle Talk podcast does not exist, guys. It's been a great show. Next week,
kind of like this one, but it's not this exact one, but it's kind of like that one.
Well, right now, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, next week here at episode 395, you're going to have the Night Owl, Renee Martinez, and you're going to hopefully have the return of Richard Douglas right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm just going to leave this one here as kind of a last comment.
As long as he can find his way after getting knocked in the next week.
Well, I tell you guys right
it's
now,
just a disrespect like that. I tell you, I don't know. If I was him, I wouldn't bother showing up.
I thought so much better of you, man. I mean, brother, man. I think of you like a brother, but man, you're going down the wrong path there.
And you wonder why you lose the Wrestle Talk podcast game show challenges that I referee.
that probably.
Well, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, it's been a great show. Again, thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to CJ Shine. Thank you to Jason Brasier for coming on the program tonight. We're going to have a lot of great guests still to come here. Next week, we're going to have the Night Owl, Renee Martinez, Richard Douglas right here where you are right now, the Wrestle Talk podcast every Tuesday night. Make sure to check us out on social media. Make it a point to check us out on YouTube and also check us out, WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Gentlemen, until next week, this is Luke Roberts. We got Chris Rodell and Hardcore Hoss. We'll see you next week right here on the Wrestle Talk podcast. Take care, and we'll see you next Tuesday night.
Make a back to this. Make a back to this. Make a back to this. What's up, Make a back to this. Orange and purple with a chicken, breakfast. If you ain't a hustler, you might.